There's different milestones in quantum, so some part of it are 10 years away, but the crypto is a bit closer. I would say we zoom out. The thing with quantum, it's kind of an information asymmetry problem, but I would say that the countries who are most ahead, say the United States, China, they are probably about 4 or 5 years away from being able to build machines that can break the cryptography of, say, cryptocurrencies. It's actually like in the most recent paper that I released, it's called Brace for Impact. I essentially went around like all the literature, all the data in quantum computing. I took all the experiments that have been done, all the roadmaps, the improvement on algorithm for breaking the cryptography.
Well, listen, an attack on Bitcoin will be like dropping a bomb, right? I mean, for us it's a big deal, but Bitcoin is not a small deal anymore when, you have the US president that is fully backing and supporting the industry. I think now Bitcoin has become, quite an important topic, quite a substantial asset. Welcome back to the Financial Fox Show. My name is Steffi and today I'm going to bring you our second episode on quantum and Bitcoin. Joining me on the show is a quantum scientist that has been studying quantum technology since 2006 and he has been in Bitcoin since 2013. So he definitely knows a lot about quantum and definitely quite a lot about Bitcoin as well. His name is Pierre Luc Dallaire Demers and is the founder of CEO of Pauli Group. So Pierre Luc was also one of the co-authors of the Bitcoin improvement proposal that was focused on post-quantum migration for Bitcoin, together with Jameson, Ian, and Chris. And I decided to interview all of them to get their insights, their perspective of, first of all, why it's important for us in the Bitcoin and crypto community to take quantum seriously, and second, to see what could be the solution. And to be honest, we are not really so far away from quantum breaking the cryptography. So we should do something about it. And for me, it's really important to kind of raise awareness about this topic. And for all of you, it should be one of the top priority to actually consider what could be the threat to the assets that you want to win, you champion, you believe in, right? So let's take time to listen what those guys have to say, and definitely the interview with Pierre Luc was really, really interesting. Now, before we get into the show, just a couple of things. First of all, remember that all the content on the show is for informational purposes only and not intended as financial advice. So always do your own research, level up your skills, and be accountable for your own decisions. And remember that you should never act solely on the back of any opinions expressed by me or my guests. Second, I'm gonna ask you a big favor. If you are watching our interview on YouTube or X, please take a moment to subscribe, like, follow us. Your support is crucial to grow the channel so we can educate more people about crypto. And finally, a big thank you to our partner and sponsor, Hype Digital Technologies. More about them later in the show. Pierre, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing good, Steffi. Good to be here.
Yeah, 100%. So listen, thank you again for making the time to come on and share your insight. Quantum has been a very interesting subject for myself at least. And I think it will definitely be for my audience to kind of catch up what's happening in the quantum space, but also kind of take some conclusion on why, in the Bitcoin and crypto space, we should actually pay attention to the development that quantum is making and perhaps consider any action that we should maybe do to kind of protect the network. So very excited to have you on, and I understand that you are the quantum genius of the group. So yeah, it's great to have you on, really.
Well, thanks for having me. Yes, but my background is really I'm the quantum physicist, I guess, in the space. So I've been in quantum computing since about 2006. My own interest, I have some sideline interest in crypto since about 2013, and I would say that since 2021, so about 4 years ago on the quantum side, like we're seeing like a very, very, very fast acceleration. And like the people are starting to wonder, okay, like we're building those very large quantum computers. What are we gonna do with those? And it just turns out that the first thing you can do right out of the door once you have the big machines in about 5 years is break Bitcoin. And there's not much other applications. Like ideally we want those machines like to make new materials, to simulate molecules, to make new drugs. But all those things are all about like maybe 1,000 times, 10,000 times more difficult than breaking Bitcoin.
Wow.
So whatever happens, we have only a few years left to like start putting like strong protections around Bitcoin. We don't need to protect it all in 5 years, but like at least like the big pieces, the exchanges, like the whales, like there needs to be more cladding around what they're doing. Otherwise, there could be like catastrophic attacks like in the next.
Yeah, definitely catastrophic. I mean, that's exactly what Jameson said. It was the same things, right? We need to get ready. We need to prepare. We need to do what needs to be done to make sure that Bitcoin is going to be quantum resilient when that time comes. And it's not going to be too far away, because if you think now, we already have a nation state adoption, even though, you know, big countries are not kind of accumulating a lot. I mean, substantial amount of Bitcoin, but it's not like a massive amount to get other countries to get involved and maybe play some games, which is, you know, what we want to avoid, and that could trigger actually an attack on Bitcoin. So first of all, tell me something. Many people, or all the people that I've been talking to, apart of Jameson and yourself and, you know, all the other people in the paper, the majority of people will say quantum is 10 years away. So people don't actually know where we are with quantum technology. So maybe let's start from that.
Yeah, there's different milestones like in quantum. So like so some part of it are 10 years away. So say materials, drug, molecules, like it's probably about that. But the crypto is a bit closer. And I would say if we zoom out, like the thing with quantum, it's kind of an information asymmetry problem. So there's a few people like very close to quantum, like they know what's happening, but like the further away you get, like the more, like it's more like the telephone game. So people don't really get like they get the news from the other people, get the news, like it morphs, and then at some point like they lose the signal. And even in the quantum space, I would say across countries, there's some amount of variance as to the timelines. But I would say that the countries who are most ahead, say the United States, China, they are probably about 4 or 5 years away from being able to build machines that can break the cryptography of, say, cryptocurrencies. And the one of the issue, okay, so say between countries, so like some groups thought that it would be harder, but like on the quantum side, in the last 3 years, I would say now there's some global alignment on the capability. So in North America, in Europe, in Asia, almost everyone is aiming at machines big enough to break cryptography in like 5-7 years at most. And it's actually like in the most recent paper that I released, it's called Brace for Impact. So like we released, I essentially went around like all the literature, all the data in quantum computing. I took all the experiments that have been done, all the roadmaps, the improvement on like algorithm for breaking the cryptography. I put them all on one chart, and we see like the algorithm, the requirement for breaking cryptography are going down with time. The machines are going up exponentially. We know that two lines must cross somewhere between 2027 and 2033. Probably on the earlier side, just because like all those companies are competing. So like it won't be like unless they all fail and only one succeed, which is unlikely. Like most likely a lot of them will succeed. We have only a few years left. So that it can get tricky, but like those companies, like they're kind of saying they could attack Bitcoin, but like they're not shouting it either. So the bulk of the problems become coordinating people. Like so how do we coordinate people on Bitcoin to get off the train track of quantum coming and just like let them go and just protect it so that like it doesn't become a bounty?
Hive Digital Technologies, one of the fastest growing publicly listed Bitcoin miners. This year, they have been achieving some amazing milestones, completely laser focused on making the company super efficient. They are going to quadruple their operational footprint, representing 3% of the global Bitcoin network. Hive was also the first crypto miner to have an AI strategy. And very important, they are fully focused and committed to sustainability, with the green power data centers in Canada, Sweden, and now Paraguay, where they are really growing their operations. Their focus is on scaling a lean, shareholder-driven company that makes a positive impact on the communities they serve. Now, if you are a brand or a company interested in exploring, then you should check out the Buzz HPC, which is the AI subsidiary for innovative solution. If you want to know more about Hive, check hivedigitaltechnologies.com. Now, let's get into the interview. Well, listen, an attack on Bitcoin, it will be like dropping a bomb, right? I mean, for us it's a big deal, but Bitcoin is not a small deal anymore when you have the US president that is fully backing and supporting the industry. I think now Bitcoin has become quite an important topic, quite a substantial asset so that institutions are backing as well. So, it makes sense that the effort has to be coordinated and will have to make sense. I think it will be a game of power, right?
Yeah.
So explain to us in a layman term. Remember, I'm not a tech person. Most of the people in my audience, they are definitely not techie at your level. So they obviously understand the implication of tech. Most of them, they are more interested in, the investment adoption side, maybe innovation in the fintech space to implement digital assets. So what they really need is to kind of make sense of the quantum technology development and be aware that that could represent a threat for the ecosystem. Maybe not right now, but is increasingly becoming. And that will be, like you said, as early as 2027. Technically, what is computer is going to be able to do? And what will be the capability of this computer to the new capability of this computer compared to the ones they are available right now?
Yeah, so that's actually my specialty. So my background is really like quantum. I come from the world of quantum applications. So we have those machines. What do we do with those? What can they do? In some sense, all quantums are computers are quantum, but most are very classical. So in some sense, what distinguishes a classical and a quantum computer is that a quantum computer can maintain the operations over the superpositions of all of many possible states at the same time over a long period. Like the laptop in front of you, technically it's quantum, but it decays so fast in the classical realm, it takes picosecond, maybe attoseconds, a fraction of a second, tiny parts of a second. Whereas for quantum computers, we can keep them, it takes of engineering, keep them in that state where we can represent all the possible states at the same time. And it means that quantum computers are as general as classical computers. So they can do everything a classical computer can do, but there's some things that can do faster. So in general, it's a bit slower just because all the operations you do on a quantum computer, they have to be reversible, to make it practical. And that makes it slow. But that slowness can be overcome for a handful of problems. And that handful of problem is the some of the public key cryptography that we know. So RSA, factoring, elliptic curve cryptography as used on Bitcoins. Those, they are easy to break with quantum computers. You can take a public key, you put in the quantum computer, you get the private key out, and then you can use it to
Wait.
Yeah, so you can just break stuff, but it's only for public key. So say hashes, there's not much. There is some advantage, but it's extremely theoretical. So to break a hash with a quantum computer, we think we would need a quantum computer roughly the size of the moon. So you would see it. It's not much of a problem. You would see it in the sky. It would not be subtle at all. There would be that thing in the sky. So it's not much of a problem, and it's really, in some sense, there's some mathematical problem which have some structure, they repeat after an astronomical number of cycles. So factoring is like that, elliptic curve cryptography is like that. And the problems in quantum chemistry, the problems is in material discovery. All those problems, they also have deeply hidden in them, they have some cyclical properties when you compute the energy. And those problems are super difficult on classical computers. So you can have the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, they built large supercomputer exactly for quantum problems. So the advantage of building large quantum computer is that beyond breaking cryptography in a few years is that we'll be able to design new superconductors, design new drugs, coupled with AI probably to accelerate those developments, because most of those problems, they're behind some complexity wall, if you want. So even with classical AI, we will not be able to crack them. We really need a new type. Well, it's more general type of computing to attack them.
So AI is not going to be able to break Bitcoin, but you need, how big would be a quantum computer that can break Bitcoin, if that is like a question that makes sense?
It's going to be big like a small hangar. Like if you fit like a hangar for a plane or something like that. It's going to be roughly the size of a small data center. So it's not that big. It's not that big. And that's the problem. That's the problem. So like maybe 15 years ago, so in 2012, we thought we would need 10 billion qubits to break Bitcoin. 10 billion qubits, it would be a quantum computer the size of a stadium. It would be gigantic. Yeah. But over the years, people have found shortcuts. So like it went from 10 billion to 1 billion to 10 million. And now we think we need between 100,000 and 1 million qubits, like physical ones. And the people building the machines, they think they can build 100,000 to 1 million qubits by 2029. So that's where
where are we now in terms of development with
the commercial machines? They have about now they're achieving between a few hundreds to a few thousand qubits.
And I mean, I remember that there were quite some big announcement from Google a few years ago. I think it was IBM as well. What have they discovered? What they brought? I don't think it was anything came to market, but they came up with some kind of breakthrough discovery. So maybe you will know that better than us. So just refresh us. What the big
quantum computers, like you have to you know the Schrödinger cat experiment. You know the cat which is both dead and alive.
Okay. Refresh our memory also.
So there's the in quantum mechanics, like people have these paradoxes which they try to invalidate quantum mechanics, but like it's more like it tells us about the nature of it more. And there's one of the old experiment that like if you put a cat in a box and you put the mechanisms linked to an atom that either like keeps the cat alive or like kills the cat. No one did the experiment like that's it. The cat can be both in a superposition of being alive and dead in the box as long as you don't look. A quantum computer, in a sense, you replace the cat by a computer. And the magic isn't so much the computer, it's the box. So it's the fact that you can completely isolate it from the environment. And there's no noise, no information that comes out. It's quantum information. Otherwise, what happens is as soon as the bits of information that leaks out of the box, then the cat becomes, it stops being a superposition, it becomes alive or dead. And it's the same thing for a quantum computer. As soon as bits of information come out, the computer collapses and then it stops being quantum. So we must completely isolate it from the environment and remove all the noise. And in theory, that would be very difficult. So any noise, like it destroys the state of the quantum computer. But people have found, like in the 90s, so the same guy who found like how to break cryptography, Peter Shor, he also found that the protocols for error correction were like if you have error on a classical computer, so when you do computation on your laptop, like there can be cosmic rays that change a bit, but like there's still mechanism that can detect that and protect against like those types of errors. We can do the same thing with quantum. So it means that like if you have the noisy quantum computer, you can do a protocol, an algorithm called error correction. It makes the quantum computer less noisy. So you can just repeat that, and at some point it becomes like perfectly noiseless. And that's what Google demonstrated 2 years ago. So like so Peter Shor had done the theory in 1994, and then essentially like people knew it should be possible to make a quantum computer that can process as many operations as necessary, but the noise had to be like the qubits had to achieve like some degree of quality. Like there's a bunch of like threshold that had to be passed, and Google just like they raised to all of them. So like they essentially like they demonstrated that they can reduce errors in the quantum computers to as low as they want. So from that point, what it means that like if you want to break cryptography, you take like what they built, you make it much bigger, and that's it. And the time from them to take like the small chip, it's about 100 qubits to 1 million qubits. They think they need about 5 years, which is kind of reasonable.
Which they said that 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, like for like their roadmap, they've been aiming at 2029 for 1 million qubits since 20. Yeah, they set that roadmap in 2019, and they're still on that roadmap.
And things get faster, as we know, because nobody thought the AI was going to be here, for years.
Google is already working, like they already put DeepMind, so like their super AI research division, on helping the quantum computing team accelerate. So like they're already coupling AI and quantum.
Right. Realistically, how far are we? Taking in consideration that.
The
Your worst scenario.
like we have to take into account like what kind of attacks there will be. So like the first, I think we're like realistically, I think we're 4 or 5 years away for demonstrations of breaking keys. But if you think about it, like if there's 2 or 3 companies that build say a $10 billion quantum computer, and realistically they will be able to break maybe at most 1,000 keys per year with the first machines. So like there will not be like a widespread attack where everyone gets their wallet hacked like on the first week. It's impossible. Like, it's too expensive. Per keys is probably going to be like $10 million per keys to break, which is cheap. But it's supposed to be a lot more. Like, but like
$10 million per key. That means that you are going to be. I mean, I think that they will be targeting, substantial wallets, not.
Yeah, so at that point, it's really up to the people who have the machines that decide. If it's the US and they don't want and they're like heavily invested in Bitcoin and they don't want to attack Bitcoin, they will not attack Bitcoin. They will not. They're not suicidal. But like if it's the China, like the Communist Party who has like that machine and they don't like Bitcoin, then they can start attacking an exchange with that. So like if you start attacking like the big exchange with quantum computers, then you just like wrecking like chaos like everywhere. So like yeah. So it's up to the people with the machine. So like they can decide not to attack it. They can decide to. So the response of Bitcoin is should be to remove them the ability to choose. So like to remove them the ability to choose, it means deploying signature method on Bitcoin, which we know resists quantum computers, like they require like hashing, so like the moon size machine or something. So like so there are methods which we know actually like older than Elliptic cryptography. Some of them are even older. We add them on what is like on the most vulnerable part. So like if there's a bounty, like exchanges, if there's billions of dollars, then like you add both on the crypto. Like the small accounts, if there's $10, like that $10 of crypto, and then it's fine. Like they will not be attacked like at first. They have some time to upgrade, but for sure, like all the major infrastructures, they need to upgrade. And that's for Bitcoin. All cryptocurrencies, most of them use the same crypto. For Ethereum, like it's a massive database of public keys. So everything, all the smart contracts they have to upgrade, all NFTs, everything they have to upgrade.
So my question will be, obviously we are kind of focused on Bitcoin because that's a big deal, right? But would there be a possibility that perhaps those first quantum computers are going to break? I'm going to focus on Ethereum or Solana and start to make some attacks there. And then, well, it will be panic anyway.
They can.
So they could. But and also, is it easier to break Ethereum cryptography versus Bitcoin? Doesn't matter.
They're using the same. So what happened is that there's some rumors that like Satoshi, like in 2008, like the pre-release version of Bitcoin, he was using like Lamport signatures. It's kind of very natural for like UTXO. And this is a quantum resistant, but not efficient. And like at the last minute, he switched to elliptic curve cryptography because it's efficient. And then like it's not broken, don't fix it. In 2008, like even me, like I was in quantum, and again I thought in 2008, we have 100 years before it's a problem. Like at the time, we didn't think it would be that fast, but it turned out not to be the case. So like it was not broken. So what happened is that like most other crypto projects that followed Bitcoin, they all use the same crypto. So now we have the problem that everyone uses the same thing and like everyone is vulnerable the same way. So like there is a bit of variations on like the specific elliptic curve that they picked, but like ultimately it's exactly the same thing for quantum computing. There's no difference.
Your views is that there will be some attacks and then those will increase until basically
everything's upgraded.
Yeah.
Everything is upgraded. Because what's gonna happen?
Everything is upgraded. You need to make not you, but we need to make this upgrade. Because if you don't do it, then the scenario is that everything is broken and everything goes to zero. Actually, Bitcoin could go to zero because of quantum, and that's something that should go in the head of some people. They just think that Bitcoin will go to the moon forever and there is no threats. I think, from my side, when I believe in Bitcoin and I think it's a great asset, definitely has the potential to keep increasing, but there are threats that people shouldn't forget, and that's definitely one of them. So go back to kind of the threats, the scenario that can happen. If we don't do anything, panic and everything gets smashed, what should we do then?
Yeah, well, on the threat side, like I think the biggest risk is almost like psychological. So like if there's an attack, the problem is that like the public would just lose trust in cryptography. So like even if
they would sell everything, right?
Even if there are quantum resistant solution, in their mind, like they don't have a way to judge like if it's a quantum resistant. It's just like it broke once, it could break another time.
I think if you just get one headline that said, 100 million wallet, attacked by quantum computer dead, all funds disappear, whatever. I think that everybody is going to sell into that.
Yeah, and then people are gonna, well, and then we get pushed like the CBDCs, the post-quantum CBDCs. Like I do believe like in decentralized technologies, like the quantum, like decentralized assets, like Bitcoin. So, and I think it's important, like for just like as a general check and balance, like on like the fiat system. But upgrading it is difficult because by nature it's decentralized. It's not meant to have the cryptography upgraded, but it can have the cryptography upgraded. So I think like we have to do it. If we do it, I think we're good for several decades of like the advancing the decentralized digital assets from the fact that we don't have any computing paradigm beyond quantum computing that could break like what's coming. Like we just don't, at some point, like past a few decades, we just don't know what's going to happen with AI. So like maybe, and at some point there's going to be probably other type of technologies that can replace Bitcoin. So Bitcoin may just be the VHS of digital money. So like especially with quantum. So like an interesting thing is like the very first quantum computing paper in 1968 was about using the fact that you cannot clone quantum information to make quantum money. So like I guess we'll go full circle at some point, and like once we live in the world where like there's entangled quantum computers like in every home, like we will probably use very different technology for digital assets. Like we will have like quantum money system by then, but that's probably like 30 years from now, like 20 to 30 years from now. So in between now and then, we need to upgrade that.
Using decentralized money?
I think so. And we will be able to make it even more decentralized when we have like fully distributed quantum computers. But like we need to start with one quantum computer, and then we'll have two, and then we'll entangle. Like before there's one in each home, like it's still some time away. Really, like what is, I think, the main work on in the next 10 years. I think it's going to take a good 10 years to upgrade everything. That's probably going to be the bulk of the work on that.
Who's doing it?
Sorry?
Who is doing this work?
Everyone has to do with. That's the difficulty. And that's why like podcasts like this is important. It's because like it's on the technical side, we kind of know the solutions. Like we have very well studied methods which resist quantum computers. But the problem is the coordination problem. Like each people with a wallet, like we cannot remotely upgrade it, because if we can remotely upgrade it, we will have access to keys. Each crypto holder at some point in the next 5-10 years, they will have to take their stuff and move it to a quantum resistant address.
Question. Many people will have their funds with a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange. Is the responsibility of the centralized exchange to get their clients know or get them on board to do this? And the same for the decentralized exchange. Should they be the entity that push for the migration or yes?
Well, maybe not on the behalf of their use, but for their own infrastructures, yes. And especially exchanges, because they are big target. They have a target on their head. Yeah.
So I'm really surprised that, somebody like Coinbase is not kind of on the
Information asymmetry. So they just like, even on the cryptographer side, like the people just trained in pure cryptography, they are told that they're shown the data, and they don't necessarily believe it until it happens, because they don't know the physics of the quantum computers.
That's a good point, because I was talking to somebody that it said exactly that to me. So, we have got analysts that they've done the research, it's too far away, not to worry. And, so we know that stuff. But you are saying that's wrong.
They don't know. They don't actually. What they do is they look at the news articles like online. That's what they do. Or they look on Wikipedia. But like it's kind of down like the cultural pipeline, let's say. Like it's quite far. If a few years ago, like it was difficult convincing quantum computing companies to raise the alarm, and like since I would say a month, like we started to seeing it turn around. Like even IBM this morning, like yesterday, IBM Zurich, they started raising the warnings, which is good because IBM was keeping silence on the topic for business reasons. Google, they're starting to raise alarms. Stuff is starting to, like Microsoft, like they're upgrading everything by 2029. Like they started
resistant.
Yeah. So Windows, everything, all your infrastructures are going to be upgraded. Cloudflare is upgraded. So I think we're going to see like this, the IT world will probably see a huge wave in the next 2 years. And since there's a good overlap between the IT world and like the blockchain world, like these
Yeah.
people, like they're nerds. So like they got into Bitcoin early. It will probably trigger them. And from that point, I think it will go up in the exchanges because as soon as all the friends of the cryptographers in the exchanges are worrying about quantum in their own business,
It will be.
culturally it will go back good.
So basically, tell me, it's just a question of moving your assets from one address
That's it.
to another address.
Uh,
That's it. It's like a very simple things to do, right?
Well, we still need, like on the Bitcoin side, we still need to get those quantum signature in Bitcoin Core. So
So
that's the
where are
bottleneck.
you with that? Who is just
No
how?
one. There's no one who's in charge of it. So like that's gonna be the difficulty. My sense of it is that it's gonna come from the ETFs. So the ETF, the big exchange ones, they want to upgrade. Like it's a small world. There's a part like probably of Bitcoin where like the people with a lot of coins, like they'll probably talk to their miners also and say, okay, like guys, it's
Yeah.
time to start deploying. And at some point there will be enough peer pressure that like someone will do it. So it's kind of necessary that there will be a fork, at least one or two forks. Like.
So there is something still needed on the Bitcoin technology side, and that you think it will be done by somebody in the ecosystem.
Peer pressure. It's like we have to maintain. We put pressure everyone and everywhere, and at some point, like we kind of know we're starting to write the BIPs, but at some point, someone will have to deploy it. Like someone at Bitcoin Core will have to sign. Okay, like we from now on we can verify post quantum signatures on Bitcoin.
Yeah. So what's the role of Bitcoin miners here?
Well, like from the moment that those like the there will be a fork. So essentially, like okay, from now on, Bitcoin Core, like a fork of Bitcoin Core, will accept post quantum signatures. Bitcoin miners will have to mine those blocks.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
So
And that
they
is
will have
all.
two choices because it will not be backward compatible.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's just so interesting, and I can see that it's not going to be an easy one until you
Nope.
get everybody on board and all the exchanges to kind of big shout out.
What saves us is really the rate of attack. So at first, like the rate of attack will be slow. So like that's where like the big players have to protect. But say over 10 years, the price of attacks will go down exponentially fast. So like at first it's going to be millions of dollars, but like in 2040, there will be students in universities breaking keys for like a few cents. By then, everyone will need to have upgraded. So like it's really like we're going to have at first, it's really like the people with like the billions of dollars who are like obvious targets. They have to secure the stuff, yeah.
So, Pierre, do you think that quantum could be the catalyst of the next bear market? So what I'm trying to say, because we said that it's not going to happen all in one go. Okay, I understand that. So what about if we are going to start to see some attacks next year? It's 2026, right? We are not too far away from 2027.
Well, yeah, well, like 2027 is like like all the data that I plotted, it's for the commercial machines. So if there exist special access programs with secret quantum computers, it happens before. So, but like no one has the data. We just know like that we have the commercial. So if it was to happen, it's not impossible. Like say if there's an attack on the ETF of BlackRock, like they basically sell to zero. So like it's we don't know.
And obviously that will have a ripple effect on all the crypto industry. So it's not obviously Bitcoin, it will be Ethereum going back. I mean, maybe not zero, but
Everything.
small attack, but it will definitely drop,
The 99% or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But and then if that's one, like if it keeps happening, it can essentially just like keep suppressing the price.
Right. So yeah, that's quite worrying. So okay. So what can obviously it's great to have you here to discuss that, but is there anything else that people can do to kind of start to get this movement going?
In the near term, it's really pushing on Bitcoin Core right now to have post-quantum, like quantum-resistant signature verified on the mainnet of Bitcoin as fast as possible. And like by as fast as possible, I think we have 2 years at most. I like to keep the risk reasonable.
So 2 years for the technology to be fully bulletproof and
No,
implemented.
to just enable it. If we should already have it, but we don't. So like we just have to live in the real world. Like ideally we would already have that, but we don't. I would say I would be extremely worried if we don't have it within like 24 months. Like if we don't have it within 24 months, I think the risk is getting in the danger zone.
Right. Okay. So that's
Like right now we're in the zone where okay, like there may be 1% attack that it could happen within like 2 years. 1% on a $2 trillion asset is like I think it's still like there should be a lot more money like invested into like making it post quantum. Given the size of the what's at risk already, in 2 years we'll be in the 10-25%. Like at that point, I think like if we don't have post quantum cryptography enabled on a fork of Bitcoin, what we'll see central bankers starting to get ready to push post-quantum CBDCs just because they will see the opportunity like of the crisis.
yeah, obviously, because they, if there is kind of like a problem with Bitcoin and the crypto industry, somebody else will take advantage of it. And the worst things will be actually governments and start to increase. So even control our money more. They already do with inflation. So if there was another technique that can do it, it will be really the worst.
And they are already, like the CBDCs are already made post-quantum. Like if you look at the research papers on CBDCs, they are explicitly post-quantum.
They are post-quantum.
Yes. No, they're waiting at the door. So like that, it's not. It's too easy. It's too easy. Like they see it like everyone else, and like all they need, basically all they need is a crash on Bitcoin, and then you can push CBDC. So that's why I think it's important to start now. Like we're kind of late. There's still time ahead, but it's not infinite. Like we cannot procrastinate infinitely. So that's why I think yeah.
This is very interesting. So all the CBDCs are post-quantum. Wow, great. It's great. It's not really great. So tell me, I mean, we just chatted a little bit before the interviews, and we kind of said obviously quantum could be a big threat for Bitcoin, and it might not be just now. Is there anything else that you see, having been in the industry since 2013, that could threat Bitcoin that maybe is not from a technology perspective?
Realistically, I don't think so.
Right. So you think it's very difficult to think about deep bear market on currently, all this support, the institution.
Well, like if a meteor, like Southeast Asia, it would take, I think, a catastrophe. Like it would take a human scale catastrophe, I think, to create the.
Well, but even COVID did.
Well, yeah, like Bitcoin, Bitcoin has taken more than 190% hit, and like it's still around. So I'm not worried about 90% hits on Bitcoin. I'm worried more about the 99% that can come from a loss in trust and
in the network. I completely agree, because it's all about trust. I think you just nailed it. If there is some kind of loss of trust, and then specifically target one of these big institutions, then it will be.
Will there be other 90% hit on Bitcoin? I'm sure the Bitcoin community will find ways to make it happen. Will we be able to have digital assets over decades? I think so, but we need to make them quantum resistant.
Yeah. So did you look at the every day or, every month, the percentage of risks of a quantum attack? Do you know what that would be?
You mean now?
Yeah, from now on, every month, what will be the percentage that we get closer to a quantum attack?
It's anyone's best guess, because in practice, the quantum computing world, it's people also. So if some are the day of the attack may depend on who's on vacation when. I don't know. So we don't have a precise timeline. It depends on COVID. It depends on the weather. So the precise day we don't have. I would say reasonably we're probably in the few percent right now, and it will increase dramatically in about 2 years. Within 2 years, I think there will be a larger scale. From what we will see larger scale experiments in quantum computers in the next 2 years. So there will be machines maybe up to 10,000, 50,000 qubits. And from there, the only thing they will be able to do is to demonstrate for their own investors, breaking cryptography. So from that point, it will increase quite rapidly. So that's why ideally we have the upgrade before there's the demonstration. Even if the demonstration don't attack Bitcoin directly, if you can show you can break Bitcoin by not breaking Bitcoin, maybe you're breaking Bitcoin and you're just not telling it. So It's
Exactly. I think is, and then just having the fact that CBDCs are already quantum resistant, that just is already like massive. Not even a red flag, it's a black flag. I mean, it's like God. All right, that's super interesting. Thank you for coming on the show, Pierre. That was great to have you on and make us aware of all of these things. Are really, really important for all of us in the Bitcoin community. I mean, if we really believe into these assets, and we believe in the freedom and the sovereignty and ownership, that responsibility as well they bring to us, then we should take action. And it's not just about the price sometimes. As I say, it's always, about resilience. And what it sounds to me after having a conversation with Jameson, with you, and then I'm going to have Chris and Ian as well on the show, is that Bitcoin is not really perfect. And it's not due to, its design, but it's always like everything is due to what is around it and the threats.
It's human technology. Like Satoshi was not an alien from the future. He was someone probably in the US. Like he probably knew that quantum was like, we know since 2003 that what he picked would be broken by quantum. But in those years, we didn't know it would come that fast. Like he made the best choice he could at that time. But like we just have new information now that we must act upon, like to keep like the story of the centralized assets going.
Why do you think he decided to go for that rather than just maybe wait a little bit longer and just?
It was just better. It was much more efficient. It was
so
much more
faster,
efficient.
you mean?
So it made it just made Bitcoin faster. And at the time, like if he had asked any quantum people in 2008, everyone would have told him, "You're fine for 100 years." Back then, because we thought it would take 10 billion qubits.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to be 2029 or 2030, because like you said before, we have AI now. So
and there's the whole piece of nation states that we're not seeing. So like if there's secret projects in bunkers in China or US or wherever, like it's they're kind of the first. They decide first. First.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, let's get people on.
So the most important part is awareness. I think that's the bottleneck is information asymmetry. So if we can lower the information barrier, make it as digestible as possible, I think we have a shot as a solution. Like ultimately, like if we can reduce the volatility from like 99% to like 50-30%.
It's still something, right?
We've seen worse. Like Bitcoin has seen worse. So like I think we'll get through. So we just really have to make sure there's no catastrophic attack or like solutions are deployed that even if there is a catastrophic attack, at least like there's an escape path already available, because if it happened today, there's no escape path. Like it just it goes down. The only escape right now is selling.
Right. Okay.
So right now the only escape is selling. What we want is a post-quantum escape, such that like when it starts happening and there will be probably some panic movement at some point, there is an option within the ecosystem which is safe. And like that keeps the movement going.
Pierre, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for organizing, Steffi.
Anybody that wants to connect with you, has got any question, where can they go?
The best place is probably on X. So my username is Pierre Luc, or at my last name Dallaire Demers, like on X. If you can post it on the
I will do. We will
on the video. And also like we have like expertise in making smart contracts on Ethereum, quantum resistant. So and like even on the investor side, like what we want to do and we think is missing from the ecosystem is quantum resistant hardware wallet. So like we have software solutions appearing. I think we're seeing a lot of progress. Like the post-quantum ecosystem is growing, but one of the big missing piece is going to be quantum resistant hardware wallets, like to secure like infrastructure, and that's what we want to build, and like we need money for that. So like if you're interested in participating, we're open.
100% support, to make sure that we are ready. That's the most important things. Okay, Pierre, thank you.
Thanks for organizing us.